Okay, so when you want to buy or sell a commercial property, I would say that there's generally 3 stages of the transaction that we work throughout. The first stage would be to sign you up as a client, first and foremost, so we need to make sure that we can act for you, that there's no conflicts of interest. We've verified your identity, and if you're purchasing the property, we're comfortable and confident that we know where your source of funds have come from. Now that's a really important stage because it's what we're regulated to do, so we can't bypass that stage. But once we've done that, we'll then get into the transaction, and the first stage would be the pre-contract stage, which would be where we're going to gather up all of the information about the property in order to assess whether, if you're buying the property, it's something that you do want to buy, and if you're getting a lender, that they're happy to provide the monies for you to buy the property. And if you're selling, we would be gathering all that information to provide to the other side. So within that, there are standard documents that we provide, which are commercial standard property inquiries. And as the seller, you'll be providing that information to start with, together with lots of evidence around the energy performance of the property, fire safety, asbestos reports, all of these things that if you've got commercial property, you should be aware of or have some knowledge of what you're doing. If the property is leasehold, so you're either selling a lease of a building or you're looking to take a new lease, then we'll be looking to gather information as to who the landlord is, i.e. who the owner of the building is, and whether we need to get consent from them, and whether the lease allows for such consents to happen, etc. So once we've got all of that information, we'll gather it all up and then provide any further inquiries or replies to inquiries, depending on whether you're selling or buying, and give you a report on the title and the property. So we'll investigate the title as well to make sure that the person who is selling is entitled to sell the property, whether there are any restrictions on the title, whether any planning has been implemented. And this just gives you a really broad and wide overview as to the property, to make sure that it suits your needs as a purchaser. In this stage as well, we'll also be looking at the documents, which will be the contract document and the transfer, and if it is a lease, the lease. And so we'll negotiate those documents, make sure that there's any special conditions that are required to be included within the contract, and get all of the documents ready for approval. So there'll be back and forth between both sets of solicitors, the buyers and the seller's solicitors, and then once we get that approved or close to approval of the document, we'll give that to you as the client to make sure that you're happy with everything and ready to proceed. So the second stage of this commercial property transaction would be when we're close to exchange and completion. So when we get to this stage, we'll make sure that you're signed up with all of the documentation, and we'll run through it with you again to make sure that you're happy with everything and that there's no further inquiries that you wish to raise or any concerns that you've got over the property if you're buying it. And if it's a leasehold property, we'll make sure that we've made contact with the landlord so that there's no delays in formalising completion. We can exchange the property and set completion for later dates. Quite often in commercial transactions that's the case because people will need time to either move their business premises or set up new premises. So we can exchange and complete 7, 14, 28 days later, or we can exchange and complete on the same day, provided we've got all of the monies in place. And once we've completed, for you, that's your physical completion. You'll get the keys handed over, you'll be able to go into the property and you'll be able to start doing what you need to do, whether that's setting up your business in the property or finding a new tenant. And if you're selling that business, once we've completed, that's you. You can cancel your insurance, you can hand over the keys and no longer able to go back into the property. The third stage of a commercial transaction would be what we would say is post-completion. So you're in the property, you've done everything that you need to do, but we now need to confirm that you are going to be the registered owner of the property, so we'll deal with the land registry applications, we'll submit priority searches with the land registry to make sure that no further applications can be registered prior to yours. And then we'll deal with notifying any landlords with regards to confirming that you're the new tenant, and then any future correspondence needs to be directed to you going forward. Once the property is registered at the land registry, we'll then give you the final documents, which are the title deeds. It's all electronic now, so you'll get electronic office copies, which will show your name or your business as the registered owner of the property, and that's the transaction complete. So to summarise the main stages of a commercial property transaction, you've got stage one, which would be the pre-contract stage, which deals with all of the inquiries and investigation to the property and the legal title. The second stage would be when we're at exchange and completion and dealing with the completion requirements. And then the third stage would be post-completion, where we attend to registration of your ownership at the land registry.